Yo, hey, this shit easy, nigga. Hey, all I'm talking about, nigga, I'm still out here trying to get it.
Contender Regime Boxing, checking back in with y'all, man. What's good? So it's been reports about Errol Spence Jr. versus Keith Thurman being finalized for April, and it's being reported that that fight will happen at 154. Apparently, the WBA has granted Errol Spence a title, I guess not even really a title defense or voluntary title defense, but more so free reign to have like a one-off fight that won't include the titles if it's gonna indeed take place at 154. They're allowing Errol Spence to have that with Imantas Stanionis and Virgil Ortiz's fight being pushed back due to Stanionis' injury, right? So Mike Coppinger reported this. Now, keep in mind, there isn't anything official about this. It's not finalized. He reported that it is being finalized. And Mike Coppinger has been wrong plenty of times before. So I wouldn't put too much stock into this. However, the reason I'm reporting this is because it is a realistic thing. I told y'all I posted the video in regard to Errol Spence's options now that Terrence Crawford, finessed his way out of the fight and ended up fighting Avanesian. Errol Spence still had multiple options. Now, we know that Errol Spence has been, letting his fans know that he has been at 147 his whole career, and he's not going to be at this weight division for too long. Errol Spence has said plenty of times that, look, I got one or two fights left. Y'all know the fight that I want. He been on Terrence Crawford's neck ever since he put hands, feet, knees, and elbows on Yordenis Ugas and captured his third title at 147. Been on Terrence Crawford's neck with no responses for real, with no real interest in Terrence Crawford really pursuing that fight. So, it's prolonged the situation for Errol Spence. Now he has to make a decision. Do I stick around at 147 for a whole nother year, continuing to deplete my body? He's 32 years old, about to turn 33 this year. Do I continue to deplete my body? Do I continue to squeeze down to this weight, knowing that, I'm hurting myself in the long run, knowing that I'm not at my strongest and at my best? Do I continue to hold that out to make this fight with Terrence Crawford without him being as serious as he think he should be in, meeting Errol Spence halfway and making that fight happen? Should I continue to do that, or should I explore my options of taking one last money fight at 147 versus Keith Thurman and then moving up? Or should I just move up altogether and fight Keith Thurman for my first fight at 154 and, kind of get acclimated to that weight? And if Terrence Crawford wants that smoke, he going to have to come up to 154. Yeah, Undisputed means the world to me. You know what I'm saying? Speaking from Errol Spence's perspective. But at the same time, you got to make the best decision for yourself and for your career. And you can't sit around waiting on nobody. You dig what I'm saying? So, Errol Spence, I told y'all that one of the main options for Errol Spence was to fight Keith Thurman. And I said that it could happen at 147. And it could also happen at 154. And as a fan, I'm not opposed to seeing that fight in either weight class. Also, the Terrence Crawford fight, I'm not opposed to that being at 154, although I would like it to be at 47 for all the belts. For historical reasons, for both fighters, Terrence Crawford would have an opportunity to be the first male fighter that's undisputed in two different weight classes in the four-belt era. Errol Spence would have the opportunity to be the first four-belt undisputed champion in welterweight history. You dig what I'm saying? So it would be a great opportunity for both guys. However, the fight is still a great fight no matter what the weight class is in. And I'm not falling into that category where, guys saying belts don't matter and the star of the fighter is bigger than the belts. I don't believe that. I'm still an advocate of undisputed, one face, one name, one champion. I want to see the best fight the best. And, one person holding all the titles is a clear indication maybe not necessarily who is the best fighter, but the guy that did all the work to put himself in that position to have all the titles. That's the guy that was actually going for the glory. You know what I'm saying? And if a motherfucker, if the counterpart ain't, if you got other guys in the division who claim to be as good as you or on your level or better, but they not going for the glory, fuck them. Go get them belts so you can be the one that's claiming it to be undisputed and the only champion. You feel what I'm saying? So I still believe in the belts and I believe in undisputed. But if you ask me, well, should I, if I can get if I can have, if it'll be a situation where I don't get the Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford fight because it doesn't happen at 147, and we never get that fight at all, or if I have the option to, well, okay, the fight ain't gonna be for undisputed at 147, but we'll be able to see it at 154. I'ma choose to have the fight at 154 as opposed to not seeing the fight at all. So I'm cool with that. I'm cool with Errol Spence fighting Keith Thurman at 154. I think that's a great fight. It's a great matchup. Keith Thurman is, he's saying that he's hungrier than ever now. He's been claiming that he wants to fight Errol Spence, claiming that he wants to fight Terrence Crawford. This would be a great opportunity for Keith Thurman to get his name back at the top of the game. For Errol Spence, this would be a good opportunity to go ahead and put that rivalry to bed. Go ahead and answer all the questions that people had about who would win out of Errol Spence and Keith Thurman. For Keith Thurman, he can answer questions about people saying he was ducking and afraid of Errol Spence. We'll see what those guys look like in the ring, duking it out. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's a wonderful matchup. I think it does well on pay-per-view. I think whatever as far as like the live gate, wherever it's at, is going to do numbers. But especially if they do it right here in Dallas, Texas, it's going to do numbers. Cowboy Stadium, Spence versus Thurman is huge. You know what I'm saying? That's a huge setup for Errol Spence. And you can go ahead and kill all the history. You know what I'm saying? I'm pretty sure that they need to do a face-off for all access. It's going to be a great build-up to the fight. And both of those guys going to make a hell of a lot of money during that fight. So I'm interested, man. I want to see what Errol Spence looks like at 154. What his body look like. What his stamina and conditioning look like. What his power looks like at 154. What his punch resistance look like. Does he get stronger? Does he get faster? You know what I'm saying? Does he lose something going up to 154? I think those are all interesting questions that would be answered if that fight were to take place in that division. I think you get more questions answered once Errol Spence actually fights a true 154-pounder. But this is a good way to kind of get himself acclimated to the weight. And then, after he fights Keith Thurman, if Terrence Crawford's still not, and I'm not an advocate of guys moving up and then coming back down. I don't like that shit. However, the only exception if Terrence Crawford is ready and willing to fight him next at 147 for all the belts. If not, then he gonna have to get his smoke at 154 once he decide to bring his ass up there. So y'all let me know what y'all think down in the comments. How do y'all feel about, if this is indeed true, how do y'all feel about Errol Spence versus Keith Thurman? Do you think that fight is actually gonna get made? And what you think about it happening at 154? You know what I'm saying? Y'all let me know what y'all think down in the comments, man. Contender Regime Boxing. I'll holler at y'all boys, man.